It's not perfect service, but it's something very special that doesn't exist elsewhere. Hello, my name's Lucy Binfield. I have been a member of Warm Showers since about 2015. I interacted with Warm Showers first as a host in the UK, and then I moved to China in mid 2015, and I hosted and toured whilst in China. And I also did a really long tour whilst I was in China across China and Asia, where I did use Warm Showers on and off. And then in 2020, I moved to Vancouver to start my PhD, and I joined the board of Warm Showers, where I've been on the board since. So now I am with Warm Showers more in a sort of management perspective. I haven't used the service in several years now, unfortunately, due to just general busy life. But I'm the biggest fan of Warm Showers. I love this service. I think it's doing something no one else is doing. So it's great to be here. I think I first heard about Warm Showers in a cycle touring festival that was at this time in Cumbria in England, and it was probably like back in 2014. That cycle touring festival still goes on. It's a great event full of just like really interesting people. At that time, like I hadn't really toured that much. I just cycled as a hobby, and it was amazing to meet all these people who'd done these like incredible things, like cycled across the whole world, cycled across Siberia, like I was like so inspired by them, and a lot of them talked about using Warm Showers. So from that moment, I knew I wanted to be involved, and I got a profile, I think probably the week after I got back from that festival. Then I just got like more and more into it. And when I was in China, like it's not so popular in China, so there wasn't that many people using it. It was not that easy to find hosts, but still I wanted to be a bit of an ambassador for the service like in the area. So I just got more and more into it, and then finally joined the board. I'm not sure why I joined the board. I obviously thought it was going to be a good idea. And since then I've just been more and more involved. I don't think I've been like directly inspired to go to a certain place because of someone I've met through Warm Showers, but it's more the general getting inspired by the people doing these amazing things and pausing their lives even to to cycle across the countries, selling their houses, packing up their whole lives to just like make their dream come true of cycling somewhere or visiting these places that nobody else visited. When you cycle tour, you really have experiences that you don't have in any other way, and every single person's got their own story, and that's the part that really inspired me. I've been lucky enough to learn a lot about nonprofit management and administration and what happens behind the scenes of a nonprofit that has a big platform like Warm Showers through being part of the board, which has been really inspiring. The board now is fairly diverse and has a wide range of people with a wide range of skills, and just learning what goes into keeping something like Warm Showers running. It is like a lot of volunteer work, a lot of administration, a lot of troubleshooting with really limited resources, and from like a nonprofit perspective as well. And from that perspective is where I've really learned a lot about the organization and how organizations like this work. Tips I would give to people just starting using Warm Showers is to really be understanding of the service that potential hosts are offering. They're not getting paid for what they do. People do it because they love doing it. And yes, like sometimes it's frustrating because you might send a lot of messages and you don't get a reply. But when you do finally make that connection, it's such a wonderful thing. And I think it's like you get what you put into it. So like if you just want a place to stay, you should pay for a hotel, right? It's not about like a free place to stay. It's about really investing in those connections. And the hosts are really what make the service amazing. I mean, it's nothing that like we do from the behind the scenes. It's all about really what the hosts are doing for those cyclists. So my advice would be that you get what you put in, and sometimes it is frustrating because you can't find a host. Like you cannot stay every single night on your tour or whatever with Warm Showers, but that doesn't take away from like the real magic of the platform. Yeah, like I think that because I don't know if you want to include this or not, but like there is now this $30 fee. So I think there's like a certain subset which might see it as like, oh, you pay a fee, you get a service of free accommodation. And that's like, we have to charge because it takes a lot to maintain it. But the money is for the platform, not for the service. I think it's like, it's just a bit of a mindset shift for some people, maybe. A memorable experience, I think when I took a look just more generally, like when I lived in Beijing, I lived with my partner, and we at one point like acquired a dog, and we lived in an apartment in Beijing, and we were both working. And it was amazing to host warm showers people in our apartment and to like be a bit of a home away from home from people who were in a really unfamiliar environment. I'm not going to say I was like a super host, because I hear these stories about these amazing hosts that are just doing like basically providing like the 5-star experience. Like we had a 2-bedroom apartment, and we had a little spare bed, and we would take them out for breakfast and that kind of thing. And it was really just great, because when you've been traveling on your bike across China, and if you don't speak Chinese, maybe it's a lot of people from Europe or from the States, and you're really in an unfamiliar place. And it was amazing for us to like connect to people and be like a little bit of a comfortable place for them for a few days. That's probably the most rewarding thing. And then like also to hear their stories and get like, it's usually really adventurous and fun people. Like at that time, this was a few years ago, so we were sort of in a bit of a young, having fun sort of mode as well. And it was a really great thing, really, really nice. And just sharing stories, sharing food. I think we were so like, we'd made a life for ourselves in Beijing, and we obviously were very proud of that. And we were like, love to show off and everything as well. So it was just really nice. Like, yeah, that's the most memorable experience for sure. And then obviously staying in warm showers, finding hosts as well whilst traveling was always really rewarding as well, especially if it's in somewhere a little bit remote that you don't expect to find a host, and then you do like find this really comfortable place to stay and can get that warm shower and get a little home cooked meal and stuff. Always really wonderful. The main places I've used warm showers is in China and Central Asia, which is like not the usual at all, but that's living in Beijing where we mostly hosted. And then we traveled all the way across, like from Central China to Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. I did try to use it. It wasn't every night and it wasn't every week, but just occasionally. I've also used warm showers a little bit in the UK, whereas loads of hosts, but that was a little while ago now. And then now when I cycle in Canada, we generally just camp, or we will do like little day trips, or we'll take an Airbnb. We don't usually use warm showers for like smaller trips, although I know people do and can, but that's just like, we're living in, it's a kind of different life now, I guess. I think I would say, like, don't make your trip hinge on warm showers. Like, see it as a bit of a feature rather than like the integral part of your trip, because I think the joy and beauty of cycle touring can also be in the spontaneity. And like often when you're touring, you don't know what's going to turn up one day, right? That from one day to the next, you might start off and then you might meet someone who offers you a place to stay. Like that happens really regularly, which I think would surprise people how much it happens. Like when you'd cycle touring around and you meet like a random person like in a post office, and they say, oh, like you can camp in my garden, or you can camp in my house. So I would say, like, don't rely too much on warm showers, because you don't want to miss out on that spontaneity either, but have it as like an extra kind of service. And also make sure you're just on the practical side. Like now we have the new website up and running, and there's a lot of website features which I think people can really take advantage of. So make sure your profile's really up to date. Make sure you're using that map feature. Just make sure you send messages and personalize each one, because I think people can tell if you're sending out a lot of the same message. And yeah, like I said before, like, yeah, put a little time invest into it a little bit. Like, don't think you're always going to find someone that in 5 minutes. Yeah, I think you're going to get loads of different answers on this, because when talking to the other board members, I found that people have really different ideas on it. When I was hosting, I would only know my plans for the weekend, say like Wednesday or Thursday. So if someone tried to plan like a warm showers hosting like several weeks in advance, I wouldn't be able to accommodate, because I wouldn't know. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like your own personal plans, I wouldn't be able to accommodate a request like weeks in advance. Whereas I know some people have more fixed schedules. They like to have that planning in advance. And I know that, for example, if you're in the US where there's more hosts, which I haven't cycled in the US, so I'm not sure, but I think if there's more hosts, you might be able to plan like a whole week in advance of different people to stay. Whereas when I was cycling, you could never do that. And that's fine. That's just how it is. So you could say plan something in 3 days, and then, okay, like, I don't know where I'm going to stay for the next 3 days, but I know I've got to be in this city at this time. So then that would allow you to have that extra time, like, okay, 100 kilometers this day, 150 tomorrow, then it's 50 kilometers. It's a bit more time to rest, like that kind of thing. So it's just about being a bit flexible as well. But like I said, like different people have different ways of planning. And I think the Warm Showers platform can accommodate all of those, especially like with your flexible, like being flexible and just like following the lead of the host as well. So I think there's basically different ways to do it, like especially talking to like some of the hosts who are like super hosts are hosting people every single night. So they need to be booked in advance. I mean, those guys are amazing. It's a whole other thing, but yeah. Since I've been part of the board since 2020, there's been this huge, massive change to like modernize the platform and get it up to the level of convenience and the level of effectiveness that we expect from technology these days, which has been a huge challenge and really incredible to watch them, like the team rise to that challenge. So I think the only way to go, because we live in a more connected world, we expect like everyone using technology expects it to just work so fast and so well. And so the only way forward for Warm Showers is just inevitable to see it like just get more and more usable and user friendly and fast as a platform, keep ironing out all those little kinks and to move forward in that way. And the inevitable like downside of that is it's a paying service. You have to pay for that. All of those apps that you use cost money, and the better the app is, usually it costs more money. So that's the natural progression of the service as well. Hopefully we're just going to keep expanding it to more and more countries and more places with more strong, robust host base in different countries. And I would like to see, especially in non-Western countries, to have more users and hosts there as well. I think that's happening just slowly over the next few years as well. So I just hope to see the service getting better and better, more and more integrated into more and more places, and just getting better every day.